Welcome everybody to another edition of MLW 2005 here on TEW 2020. Also, sorry about the slight little lack of videos for the past couple days. Basically, my laptop decided to go off to that great laptop graveyard in the sky by the motherboard blowing up, so I had to order a new laptop, wait for it to show up, get my files all moved over to the new laptop, wait for my license to get it reset by Grey Dog, and all that other fun stuff. So I'm just getting around to getting everything done. But hopefully, we'll have this up today, and then we'll have the WCW 2001 Mayhem 2003 video up tomorrow, and then everything should be back on its normal cadence after that. But again, sorry for the delay. Hope you guys are having a good one. Anyway, we start off tonight with a pre-show match, basically throwing our high flyers on a match that don't have anything to do tonight. So in a pre-show bout that didn't have decent reaction from the crowd, but it's a power wrestling. Delirious defeated Jack Evans, Teddy Hart, Puma, and M.Dog in 10-20. When Delirious pinned M.Dog with a panic attack, this gets a 37 overall. Delirious gets a 42, Jack Evans gets a 40, Teddy Hart gets a 28, Puma gets a 30, and M.Dog gets a 29. Good stuff. Then we have basically Kevin Kelly and Steve Corino doing the typical, big show opening here from the venue at UCF Arena, where we got over 2,300 people here. As they go over the big match of the card, Steve Corino says Diamond and Martin are going to win the back tag titles for the Extreme Horsemen. Kelly puts over the big world title match, and they also mentioned that due to flight problems, Sabu will not be able to wrestle tonight, and Jerry Lynn was injured at another event, QFTNH, chants from the crowd, but Lightbringer and Joker said, they want a challenge. This gets a 54, perfectly solid opening. Then we go to our opening match, where in a decent match, Ray Gordy and Vedder defeated SATs. The SATs are the Maximos in 809, when Ray Gordy pinned Joe Maximo with a Country Thunder after Reeves distracted them. But you see Reeves gets off, the big old Reeves gets close to them. Maximo gets distracted enough for Matt Gordy to hit his finisher, and that's it. This gets a 47, really solid match. Joel gets both Maximos actually get a 44. Vedder gets a 46. Ray Gordy gets a 42. Solid stuff. We need to redo Maximo's gimmick, which I'll have to actually double check for myself. But yeah, solid win. Again, continue to put over Ray Gordy and Vader as Dynamite Daisies, our new tag team. And then post-match, of course, the heels all celebrate, including Nikki Rocks. And that gets a 36. Then we have, in a decent match, Jason Cross gets some revenge over Steve Bradley in 1209, pinning him with Crossfire. This gets a 34. Jason Cross gets a 43. Steve Bradley gets a 38. And Steve Bradley sustained a shattered elbow. If that's a long-term injury, say goodbye to whatever push I was trying to give you, Bradley. I'm going to guess lack of, let's see here. Oh, awful gimmick for both of them. Okay, so I actually probably need to, fix both of their gimmicks. And disrupted by injury. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then Cross celebrating gets a 26. Yikes. Then we have a segment where basically Joker and Lightbringer harangue Lynn for being injured, saying, Lynn, you purged yourself. We didn't have to take you apart. And Sabu was lightly story about there being a problem with your flight. You were just scared that you're no longer the king of hardcore. We're the future. We're here to purge the leftover debris of ECW away from Major League Wrestling and bring in the new. Solid promo gets a 33. The not actually bait for a flight. Sabu's wrestling in WC tonight. Again, stuff like this is kind of why I basically stopped pushing Sabu. Lynn randomly got injured, so that's nothing against him, but Sabu's wrestling too much over in other companies, so sort of have to keep him in mid-card stuff like this. But regardless, the same people come out, basically to fight, and here we go. In a bout that decent crowd, but subpar wrestling, Joker and Lightbringer defeated the same people Bulldogs in 10-29 when Lightbringer pinned TJ Wilson with the Ivy Storm, which I probably should change the name of. This gets a 40, Lightbringer gets a 48, Joker gets a 30, TJ Wilson gets a 38, Harry Smith gets a 29. Solid match. Heels go over, and then I forgot to put in celebration angle. Okay, not the end of the world. Anyway, so we move on to our big cruiserweight match, because the Asian Red was upset at Overno over him basically turning heel officially. But in it, in his match against Sonjay Dutt, so now these two high-flying cruiserweights are after each other once again, And Abel had great heat and decent wrestling. Averno defeated the Amazing Red in 15-11 by pinfall. It says after using foreign object, basically, he hits a low blow, then hits the Averno driver to get the pin. This gets a 51. Because remember, they don't actually click, but they're still getting 51, so why do I care if they don't click? Averno gets a 43. Amazing Red gets a 48. Really solid match. And then post-match, Averno celebrating gets a 40. And then we move forward. As in our big tag team title match, and both had great heat and good wrestling. Chris Hero and Roderick Strong defeated Andrew Martin and Simon Diamond again in 14:30 when Roderick Strong pinned Simon Diamond. They make defense number 2 of their global tag team crown titles. So I imagine how this match going is, it's pretty, straightforward, back and forth, heels, getting, heels dominating Martin, Diamond with cheating, but the babyface just, fight back. Eventually, Strong just hits, a big old backbreaker. He's able to even hit a big move on Martin. Hero fights back with his, European style offense. In the end, Strong is able to hit, several, big lariats and then hit a huge backbreaker off the second rope on Diamond and get the pinfall victory. This gets a 62. Diamond gets a 53. Martin gets a 67. Strong gets a 49, and Chris Hero gets a 43. Solid stuff. And then we move on to the next thing. Okay, we got Hero and Strong celebrating their big win, which gets a 51, as Steve Corino fumes in at the commentary desk over the fact that, his boys lost, and, it's total bullshit. Which it isn't. Strong wouldn't clean, but, Steve Corino is an injured bitchy heel, so what do you expect? 51, still solid, it's like celebration angle, considering how not over these guys really are yet. Then we move forward. So, again, another thing is ECMO. When I booked the match, it didn't say All Japan had a tour, but I guess they had a tour, so ECMO was on it. So, Fatu says, he was ready to fight his brother, his family tonight, but ECMO's, thinks, getting over in Japan is more important than wrestling in front of these fans. Cue hometown pop, but he's ready to fight anybody, and cue the Europe and the final countdown. Brian Nielsen's coming and says he just got off a flight from Japan, where real wrestlers wrestle, like ECMO. Unlike, because those fans actually respect professional wrestling. Boo. But he's ready, he's ready and able to fight you tonight, too. And here we go. Just a random setup for a match. It's almost like I had to cancel the ECMO match once I realized he wasn't going to be here tonight. So this gets a 58 as a basically setup for the match. And in the actual in-ring, this gets a 66. I think probably our best match ever. As in about had fantastic and great wrestling, Brian Danielson to be a Junior Fatu in 12:05 when Junior Fatu was knocked out. So yeah, how I see this happening is basically, Fatu is, using his size and his surprising speed against, Danielson, but Danielson able to hit a couple big suplexes. He, locks Fatu in a hold, but Fatu breaks out of it. But at the end, Fatu, is rushing in, Danielson able to just hit him with a big old knee, and Fatu just, wobbles, and then Danielson drills him again with another knee. And then he's just out like a light. The ref has to call for the bell. And Danielson gets a huge win over Junior Fatu. Right in the middle of the ring. 66. Again, probably our best match ever. I'd have to double check. And I'll double check after this. But I'm 90% sure about that. But 66. And then Danielson celebrates. Gets a 59. And now it's semi-main event time. So, Sonjay, but first, Matt Sydal music hits. And out comes out comes Val with them. That's weird. This gets a 34. And in the actual match, it's a high-flying match, back and forth, everything's going crazy, as they're fighting back and forth, big high-flying moves, Sydal coming back, with his own flips, Sonjay Dutt, fighting back, and then Sydal is able, but basically what happens here is Val gets up on the ring apron, Sonjay Dutt is confused. He goes over to her. Val knees him in the balls. Sydal's able to hit a big old super kick, then hits the ring board for 50, and wins the World Junior Heavyweight title. So go ahead and turn. Yeah, I don't really care about that. 57, solid stuff. Sydal gets a 50. Sonjay gets a 54. So yeah, I don't know if I made it super obvious in the build-up, but if you notice, Sydal said he was late from a couple dates. Val just kept on showing up, late to meet with the Hart Foundation, and here we are. And then afterwards, they make out as Sydal holds the title, which gets a 22, because these guys aren't the most charismatic guys, or most over. But yeah, it's basically what happened was the game said they're now in a relationship, and come on, I gotta milk that. that out, especially in 2005, when anybody like showing up for the show will know that they're actually in a relationship. So yeah, there we go. So yeah, Val turns heel, and Sydal is your new World Junior Heavyweight Champion as a heel. So interesting. And this gets a 22, like I said. And now it's main event time. So again, let me go over this match. So basically the story of the match is like if Homicide and Nigel were actually focused on Low-Ki, they could have won this. But every time like now Nigel hits a couple lariats, locks in his one of his wacky English submissions, or Homicide is able to win over Low-Ki, or Nigel Low-Ki with brawling, or hitting his big impact Japanese style moves, the other guy comes in and ruins it. Nigel also had Low-Ki locked in, Homicide stomps on him. Homicide hits Low-Ki with a big impact move. Nigel comes in with his own clothesline to the back of Homicide's head. And eventually, they're beating each other up, and Low-Ki's able to make the comeback. And at the end of the in a bout that had great heat and good wrestling, Low-Ki defeated Homicide and Nigel McGuinness in 25-21, when Low-Ki pinned Homicide with a Key Crusher 99. Low-Ki made defense number 4 of his world title. This gets a 65. Homicide gets a 49. Low-Ki gets a 62, and Nigel gets a 59. Gets a 65 overall, so a really good show. And Low-Ki celebrating at the end of the show gets a 64. So this gets a 61. I think probably our best show ever. So let me make a speech. So first, Junior Fat 2, because you were in the best match of the night. Let's see here. Who else deserves it? Honestly, again, Low-Ki for being part of our best match. And I think, honestly, Andrew Martin for not bitching about not going over. Let's see if we have any interesting mail, and then we'll go on to basically the aftermath show for 4 things. It's weird because with the way I might have to adjust the location of my TEW 2020 because my OBS window is just far enough to the left I can't see the timer. I know that doesn't actually matter, but still, it's still annoying. Anyway. Let's see here. Yeah, Steve Bradley injured. 0.0. Yeah, also, we signed a new TV contract with basically Tri-State, a medium TV broadcaster in the Tri-State, so we're up to 27,000. Let's just see here. Who won the Champion Carnival? Oh, they don't have it. Okay. Well, Senzaki's the new... Still's the Triple Crown. That's interesting. Again, just because I'm interested about this, let's see. Top 100. Okay, so Crazy Nights just beat out Summercopolis for our best show. Karina Williams is still our best match by a point, but Danielson Fat 2 is still really good, and that world title match is still really good. And just check out a couple of quick things. Oh, let me just go to the next day, and then we'll go over that as far as that. So, I'll be back in just a second with just some quick checks of the overness, and then I'll be basically, back with the actual next show. So see you in just a moment. So a couple quick things before we actually go to the show. So we got Southeast Regional. We finished first, so that's good. Again, we're not going to be with TNA anymore, which is positive. And yeah, just a quick check. So Bobby Quance is out he's injured, but he's working through it for 25 days. But Jerry Lynn is out for 17 days, and Steve Bradley with a shattered elbow is out for a year. So what we're going to do here is we're going to give him... Ouch. That's quite unfortunate. Yeah, he's out for another year and 3 months. So, I'm sorry, Steve. And I'm sorry, Persephone. Oh, okay. I mean... Do I care? Let me just look at, personal, are you friends with anybody else? No, not really. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of, if you look, again, he's randomly in yeah, but whoops, that's not how we do it. If we look at what he's done, he's basically been, almost a pure jobber for me. So I actually kind of think, yeah, I'm going to let go your girlfriend, and if you're that upset about it, I'm also paying her basically $20, and I can just, yeah, okay, actually $40 is fine. Like, yeah, that's actually not bad at all. Anyway, that was a weird sort of default. Anyway, now I'm confused of what I was checking. Oh, right, yeah, I just want to check out a couple of people to see if their popularity is really hurt. So, okay. Okay, so actually we might need to rebuild Martin a little bit, because we did sort of screw him over. Danielson getting the win over a former WWE guy really didn't help him that much at all, except in the Southeast. Chris Hero, are you actually getting over, buddy? Okay, Hero is slowly getting there. Let's see here. Anybody else we really care about? Joker, let me see here. I mean, yeah, he's slowly getting over. Did Fatu really get hurt by that loss? Let's see here. He lost a couple points, nothing huge. Let's look at Loki. I mean, yeah, slowly getting more over. Nigel, again, still getting a little more over. He lost a little bit in, like, the Mid-Atlantic, it looks like. Let's see here. Just out of curiosity, Ray Gordy, how quick are you getting over? Okay, pretty solidly getting over. But we sort of start giving Dynamite Days wins over real teams now. Roderick Strong, let's see here. Strong, okay, Strong's, again, he's like super over in the Southeast and not over at all anywhere else. It's really weird. Let's see here. Sonjay Dutt. No, okay, he didn't get hurt by that loss. Oh, that's the other thing, is Matt Sydal. Let's see here. Track progress. Okay. So, a decent win, and also, yeah, I forgot to turn him heel. But I don't care that much about the backlash. Let's see here. Anybody else? Val, let's see. Did that heel turn really help her? A little bit. And did losing that much? Okay. So again, if we look at our, like, creative, like, our top 5 guys are interesting because just the way we're using them. Like, Danielson, like, has his New Japan gig, so I can't, like, guarantee him as a top guy. Martin's really solid. Like, you know, he's just really over. And he's, like, solid in the ring and charismatic. So, like, I want to use him as more than just the random tag partner of Simon Diamond I currently am. Loki's Loki. Nigel's Nigel. And Junior Fatu is, of course, Junior Fatu. We look at who's not. It's basically Cross and Delirious. And who's hot, Loki, Homicide, ECMO, Nigel, Carino. Basically who you'd expect. But yeah, I'll be back in just a second with the first TV taping, which is the only other TV taping I'm going to do tonight. Because basically, you know, we're going to be set up our next major show, which is Revolutions, which it says it's in a month, but that's going to be changed to 2 weeks in about 6 weeks here in about a second. Actually, let's go to availability. So if we go to June. So yeah, this is the basic problem, is when I want to do shows, like yeah, look at this. I mean, I could do a show on Sunday, week 1, but that gives me, like, basically no time to build up a real, like, big show. But the other alternative is doing it on Sunday, week 2, and ECMO's not there, so that sort of kills my ability to actually push ECMO. I mean, the only alternative is, like, putting it to Saturday, but then we lose Danielson and Homicide. That's sort of the situation. It's like, there's no time when basically all my people are actually available. Even, like, the end of the week now is out at Danielson, so like, yeah, maybe do it Sunday week 1. And the reason I can even do this is because Greeno won't go to a 0-1 show. He can't do anything on because he's injured. But yeah, so yeah, I might make the executive decision to say screw it and just book it, like, for that night. Because then we're, like, doing a really, like, stupidly quick like 5-week push to the next big show, which, I mean, might not be the worst idea. Yeah, it might not be the worst idea, but also might be, like, time to make a decision about, like, ECMO. But anyway, I'll be back in just a second with the actual, like, first TV taping of the aftermath of Crazy Nights, and be back with you in just a moment. Okay, welcome to the first post Crazy Nights Underground, live from the Orlando Armory. We start with Delirious and his new manager, Daisy Hayes, coming out to the ring. Delirious talks his gibberish. Daisy Hayes basically translates for him, saying, you know, he's looking for some competition tonight. And out comes Delirious's actual competition, none other than Ray Gordy. So in a decent match, Ray Gordy defeated Delirious in 18-19 by pinfall with a handful of tights, so back and forth match. In the end, Ray Gordy is able to, sort of a sneaky roll up and hold on to the tights, bridge, and get the big pinfall victory over Delirious. Delirious gets a 42, Ray Gordy gets a 41, and yeah, really big win for Ray Gordy, but at least Delirious now has Daisy Hayes as manager. So, but what's more interesting is what happens post-match, as basically, Daisy Hayes is, helping Delirious up. Nikki Rocks is making fun of Hayes. Hayes turns around, says, basically, like, tries to be all peaceful. Nikki Rocks continues to make fun of her, and finally Hayes snaps and goes after her. They start rolling around. Kevin Kelly talks about, Kevin Kelly gives cat fight, and Steve Reynolds just says after he says that, gimmick infringement, and there we go, 20. Yeah. Then we have a free file segment. Well, basically we have Danielson and Fatu highlights. Basically going over, Danielson and Fatu actually having a match, and Danielson hitting the two huge knees to get the pinfall victory. Not the pinfall, but the knockout victory over Junior Fatu. This gets 61 as we try to sell the DVD to folks. And then in a battle had decent from the crowd, but subpar wrestling, the Stain Pete Bulldogs defeated the Phenom Pitbulls in 7:51 when Harry Smith pinned Rocky Romero with a springboard heart attack. So again, back and forth match, but the Stain Pete Bulldogs surprisingly pull off the big win over the former tag team champions. This gets a 42. Ricky Reyes gets a 45. Rocky Romero gets a 33. TJ Wilson gets a 35. Harry Smith gets a 30. Really solid match as story match. Basically, Stain Pete Bulldogs fighting and fighting from underneath after what happened last night and getting the big win. Then we have a promo, which is not great, but what can you do? Basically saying, they're happy about winning tonight, but what's more important is that you now know, what was tearing apart was from within, as, Val was causing problems, and now they're united once again as a family, and they can look forward to doing things together. Actually a good promo, but it's Harry Smith and TJ Wilson in 2005. What do you expect? Then we have the tag title match highlights, Martin and Diamond taking on Hero and Strong, including, Strong getting the big victory, or, basically hitting the huge backbreaker on Andrew Martin, and again, by the DVD. This gets a 53. Then we go into our main event, which is basically a wacky post-pay-per-view main event, as in a superb match, which gets a 62, Jesus Christ. Averno, Homicide, Andrew Martin, and Simon Diamond defeated Nigel McGuinness, Sonjay Dutt, The Amazing Red, and Junior Fatu in 17:52 when Averno pinned Sonjay Dutt with the Devil's Wings. So again, back and forth match, everybody hits their spots. Fatu hits a big, Fatu and Martin have like a WWE style, sign off. Diamond cheats. Homicide brawls with Nigel. Matter of fact, show and, match ends with Nigel and Homicide brawling on the outside. Averno and Dutt, trade 5 flying moves. But in the end, Verno's able to hit the low blow, the Devil's Wings, the big pinfall victory. This gets a 62 overall. Junior Fatu gets a 59. Amazing Red gets a 60. Sonjay Dutt gets a 56. Nigel gets a 61. Diamond gets a 54. Martin gets a 68. Homicide gets a 50. And Verno gets a 55. And then we have basically the big closing angle, which didn't actually go that great. But, it's... So basically, Sydal explains that, he came in here, he tried to do the right things. He, teamed with all the people who the crowd loved, but he wasn't getting anywhere. They were giving shots to some goof who was called the Amazing Red. Sonjay Dutt was gone for months, and he walked right back into a shot. And, as you do when you're not being used a lot, you get bored backstage. And, him and Val started talking, and they both realized they were being wasted. Val was stuck with a bunch of idiotic dorks who thought because they could do a couple of flips, they were the future of the business, and they were thought just because she was Natty's friend that they were, that they had to be her, one of them had to be his girlfriend. If else gets in the line and says, who would want to be with Davey Boy Smith's monkhead son? But now they're together. Now they're the first couple of Major League Wrestling, and they're going to go straight to the top, and the junior heavyweight title is just the beginning. So, yeah, I know it's not going to go well. So this gets a 42, and we finish the show with a 55. So yeah, not our best TV show ever, but still solid stuff. And I'll be back with basically the second show of the taping, and then we'll close things out for the video. So I'll be back with you in just a moment. Okay, now time for the second part of the taping here for Underground, and basically, we start off with basically a post last week as Nigel and Homicide continue to brawl in the basically, locker room area as the MLW officials that we have try to break them apart, but they just continue to go at each other, and obviously this feud is far from being over. 49, perfectly solid opening. Then in a bout that had good heat and decent wrestling, Bryan Danielson defeated Michael Modest in 11:31 by submission with a cattle mutilation. Just basically a straightforward win for Danielson to put him over Modest in what would be a good match. Again, Modest another guy with lots of Japanese tours, so I can't really push him that hard. This gets a 51, Danielson gets a 54, Modest gets a 41, and post-match, Danielson gets a promo, says he's still the best in the world, and that he deserves the next title shot. And this gets a 45. Decent promo. Again, it was only 3 minutes, so there you go. Then we go have a big backstage statement where basically Carino is trying to hype up Martin Diamond, saying, Hero and Strong are 2 punks who got lucky. Martin, Diamond, you're one of the most talented wrestlers in the world. Martin, you're a huge star. You guys just need to get back in the horse and make an impact. So do something that'll make MLW officials have to give you something. Remember, we're even in my current condition, we're still should be the dominant force in this promotion. Whoever's a champion, whoever's walking around with a new girlfriend, no matter what. 68, perfectly solid promo. Actually, a really good promo. Then sort of in the quasi blow off for our feud, both had good heat and decent wrestling. Lightbringer defeated Sabu in 9:43 by pinfall with a thunderclap following interference from Joker. So, Joker runs interference. Lightbringer gets the big win over Sabu as our quest to purge MLW of unclean elements continues. This gets a 51, Sabu gets a 46, Lightbringer gets a 48. This was a wild brawl, just basically, because that would be the best thing possible. And of course, post-match, we have the typical 2-on-1 beatdown, as Joker and Lightbringer just beat down Sabu, and with Lynn injured, nobody's really willing to come out and save him at the moment. And this gets a 37. Not the worst, but not the best either. Then we have, again, by the DVD, highlights of the main event of Low-Key Nigel and Homicide from Crazy Crazy Nights, and this gets a 55. And then it's main event time, as in a good match, Jason Cross defeated Averno, Sonjay Dutt, and the Amazing Red in 15:05. When Jason Cross pinned Sonjay Dutt with a crossfire, this gets a 62. So basically, Cross basically wins the quasi number one contendership to the junior heavyweight title. Cross gets a 46, Averno gets a 57, Dutt gets a 55, Red gets a 61. Back and forth match, but eventually, Dutt and Averno basically take each other out. Cross is able to hit the crossfire and get the big victory. Good stuff. And then the show ends with Cross celebrating, which gets a 29, because again, not that super over yet. And we finish things out with, 58. Again, not the, best follow-up shows, but, sort of building things up and getting, getting things set up for the future. I'm probably going to do TV taping pretty soon here in the North Tri-State, just to, figure that out and then go from there. Okay, I thought there would be other mail, but nope, that's it. Again, if we look at our storylines, Best in the World that's at 59. Dynamite Daisies in Mexico is at a 47, even though I didn't really do anything with it. Junior Heavyweight Battles at a 59. Simone Family Battles at a 57. Again, haven't done much with it. And Tag Team Warfare, which is just our mess, is at a 50. Quick look at our creative. It's still Danielson, Martin, Low-Key, Nigel, Junior Fatu. Who's hot is still Low-Key, Homicide, Echo, Nigel, Steve Reno. Who's not is, Cross and Delirious, unfortunately. Next big things is Sydal and Puma. Hot prospects is Mickey Rocks, okay. Puma, Cross, Reeves, and Harry Smith. Talk the Talk is Carino, Diamond, Fatu, Funk, and Nigel. Showstoppers is Danielson, Sydal, Hero, Low-Key, Nigel. Ring Generals is Danielson, Hero, Nigel, Carino, and Homicide. It's almost like there's lots of good wrestlers. But yeah, again, if we sort of look at our top 100s, just from this year, just out of curiosity, so again, it's very interesting that this was our best match ever. But sort of best events, not the worst stuff. Like, TV tapings have been really good. But yeah, solid stuff. It's good that our two big shows here were really good. Reload wasn't as good as I thought it would be, but if we look at our attendances, all years, those is our best attendances ever, best TV ratings ever. Well, not quite. Because I was like, I think one week when we had like great coverage everywhere. Let me see, maybe top 100 viewerships. Yeah, that's when we were still on the Sunshine Network and a couple other good places. Actually, oh right, because that's before. Right, okay, before I had to redo things. But yeah, that's it for now. So again, I'll have Mayhem 2003 up for my WCW series up tomorrow. Sorry about people who have been in the prediction contest waiting for the finals of that, and just people who have been waiting for it. But again, when your laptop blows up, that gives you some time to figure things out. You have to catch up with everything. But that's it for now. So if you enjoyed this, go and give it a like. Comment below on what you're enjoying, not enjoying, and subscribe to the channel for lots of TEW 2020 content, including this series, my WCW 1983 Newark Bischoff series, Cornell vs. Weekends, and of course the long-running WCW 2001 series, now heading towards Starrcade 2003. But that's it for now, so talk to you later, and have a good one.